All right, good morning. So what we're going to do is we're going to review what we did in class today with some of our basics of Photopea. So again, what we did was we loaded an image and we talked about the layers, resizing it, and some of the navigation. So let's go ahead and review that in case you need to go back over that or you were absent. I'm going to go ahead and disappear myself. Bye-bye. All right, so here we have Photopea. And again, it's just photopea.com. And what we're going to do is just go over the very bare basics of what we covered. So what we have here is on the bottom right is we have the layers palette. The layers palette is where it's going to show us everything that we have, and think of these as pieces of paper, or better yet, think of them as transparencies, so like a clear piece of paper, if you will. And as we add to the stack of papers, we can't see whatever's underneath it unless it's also a clear piece of paper. Here we have the history window, and this will show us everything that we've done. Now, if you opened Photopea and you don't see either of these, it's very easy to find them. Again, these are windows. So just think, where would I find a window to open it? Well, it's right here under window. So again, if you click on there, you'll see the layers and history. Now, the other thing that I like to have up, and I think you need to have up as well, is the Navigator. So right here's the Navigator, and you'll see my Navigator says NAV in this list, but you more than likely don't have that yet. Now it will start showing up the more you use it on your computer. So again, to get the Navigator, if you don't have NAV showing up right here, you just go to Window and Navigator. Okay, and we'll get to what the Navigator does in just a second. First, let's talk about the bare basics, such as opening an image. So we're going to go onto Google Images, and we're going to type in shark, just like we did in class. We're going to click on image. And here's the exact shark that we used in class. Now, we have a couple options here. We can do this a number of different ways. So I'm going to two-finger click or right-click with a mouse. And we have all these options. And some kids already had problems with this where they said, Mr. Hedges, it won't open. But again, that's because you weren't listening. It does open if you click the right thing. So open link, open link, open link, save link, copy link, none of that matters to us at all because we don't care about the link. We care about the image. We don't want to go to a website. We want the image. So what we're going to do is we are going to go down here to the copy image address. Again, we're on copy image address, and I'm going to click that. Now you could also, real quick, you could also save the image to your Google Drive right here, save image as, but we're going to go to copy image address. We're going to go back to Photopea, and here I'm going to go up just like a regular program with Google Doc or anything. We're going to go File. We're going to go down to Open More. And here we have open from URL, take a picture, which would turn my camera on, PSD templates. Now, if you click open, you would be able to go to your Google Drive. If you click new, you will make a blank sheet of paper. But we want to open that shark. So we're going to go to open more, and we copied the image URL, the address. So we're going to click open from URL. Now I'm going to two-finger click or right-click with a mouse and paste that in. Hit OK. It might take a second to load, but there it is. Again, if you get an error, you're not doing it right. Again, if you correctly go right-click or two-finger click and copy the image address, it will work. Again, if you copy the image, not going to work. If you do anything except copy image address, it's not going to work. So let's go back here. So now that the shark has opened, you can see my layers now has one layer. You can see there's an eyeball here. So by clicking on the eye, it turns it off and on. Now these gray and white checkers, the checkerboard pattern, that means clear. There's no way to show clear. So the only way we can show clear is using this pattern. So when we see that pattern, just think of that as clear. Again, if I turn the eye on, it shows us our work. Now, when I turn the eye off and on, the work doesn't go away, just my view of it. All right, so down here in the layers palette, we're going to start here with new layer, and we have a trash can. If we click on New Layer, it will make a clear layer. So again, if I turn the eyeball off, there's our new layer. I'm going to label that just like we did in class. Oops. And there it is. So if I come over here, and I'm going to go a little quick here. We've already done this in class. And if I color all over this, as long as I am highlighted on the oops layer, see how it's darker? I'm going to be drawing only on that layer. And if you look real close, you can see that this square has red on it and the background does not. So if I turn the eyeball off, I haven't done anything to the actual shark picture. Now, of course, I don't want oops, so I'm going to drag that layer by clicking it and moving it down. And if I take it over the trash can and let go, it deletes it. Now I want to duplicate the shark layer. I want 2 of them. So to do that, all I need to do is instead of clicking New Layer and making a clear layer, I'm going to click and drag the shark layer, and I'm going to hold it over top the little piece of paper, the little new layer, and let go. And now we have our new shark. For this one, I'm going to call it Baby Shark. Do. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to select the area of the shark. Now for this, we are going to use the Polygonal Lasso tool. While I'm in the Polygonal Lasso tool, one thing I really like to do is click right here. So this creates different sections, replaces what we've selected. This adds to the section, it unites them. It's way easier because that way I don't have to work in one giant selection. I can work in small increments to make smaller selections. Okay? So I'm going to use the Navigator now. So again, there's my nav. And the Navigator allows me to zoom in, and the red square is what I'm looking at. So I'm able to move that around and see the shark. The Navigator is key in doing a good job using a photo manipulation program, such as Photoshop or Photopea. The reason it's so important is because the closer in we are, the more smooth our selection will look. And again, if we want it to look nice and real and quality, we are going to need smooth selections. We don't want it to be real choppy and rough. So again, I'm going to select my Polygonal Lasso tool. I'm on Baby Shark, and I'm going to start clicking. Now, every time I click, it makes an anchor point. So you see the line, wherever I angle it, whenever I click, it makes a corner. Now, if you do something like that and you're like, oh, I don't want that, all you have to do is hit backspace, and it will take out the previous anchor point until you get back to where you want. Now, for this, you're simply going to make your selection here. And my suggestion when making selections is to work in small increments. So if I do this, I don't obviously have all the shark. But the thing is that if I try to do the entire shark as one selection, I'm more likely to make a mistake and have to start from scratch. Now, if I work in small little chunks as I'm doing, what you're going to notice is they are going to combine as long as you have your settings the way I do. So it's not going to really matter if they are small or not. So again, as I work, I could get way over here and say, hey, I'm done with this fin, double click, and do you see how it became all one selection? So it's pretty easy to work in this manner. And again, even I make mistakes. So if I'm clicking like this, I might accidentally double click and make a selection, and I really don't want to have to start all over. So it's much easier just to say, okay, done. And again, you can see where it hasn't made this selection. There's no big problem there since it's on the inside. Just do that. So again, I'm going to work my way around the shark. Now you might need to zoom in a little more than me. That's fine. I'm just zooming out like this because I'm trying to go a little quicker. Now when you get to something like this and you can't see behind the fin, there's nothing to worry about. So all you have to do is, you can see where I can move my line for my selection tool right now, but if I actually scroll over to my Navigator, it's going to switch over to a hand. And I'm able now to move my Navigator, my screen, what I'm focusing on, and when I leave the Navigator and come back, my line's back. See how I do that? So it's no big deal. So you're able to use the Navigator to move around. So if you're zoomed way in, it's really helpful. And you're just going to keep doing this. And again, I am zoomed out a little bit. If I wanted this to be really, really neat, I would definitely zoom in more. And you'll notice I'm not even selecting the other fins right now because I can add them later. So here's my selection, and then I'm just going to simply come in. And you notice it adds it to my selection. And if you really want to work and do all your selection as one giant shark at a time, more power to you. But at some point, you're going to accidentally double click and you're going to have to do the whole thing over. And that is not going to be awesome. So again, as you work, try to start forming some best habits, you know. It'll really help out. So again, it looks like I almost have everything selected on the shark. Well, I missed right here, so let's go ahead and fix that. And again, it's just practice, so you can see how it just incorporated it. And right here, it looks like somehow we missed this part of the shark. So again, we can just do that real quick, and now it's all part of it. So now we have all of the sharks selected. I can make the shark bigger or smaller. The problem with that is if I were to move the shark, now again, you're like, well, there's another shark behind it. We're not seeing another shark behind it. We're seeing the background layer. Let's turn that off. Now if I move the shark, there's the negative space, and we don't want to be able to see the negative space. So what we're going to do, and don't forget your over here, we can actually just go up and we can go wherever we need to in the history chart. So if you need to go back in time, if you need to undo something, it's up in here. I haven't really talked about that. Okay, so we want to select the area around the shark, not the shark itself. But by selecting the positive space, we're going to be able to identify the negative space. Here's how we do it. All we're going to do is go to Select, Inverse. Now it has selected everything except the shark. So it has changed it from the shark selection to the area that is not the shark selection. So if I hit backspace, it deletes everything except the shark, which is what we want. So if I was trying to edit something like me holding Thor's hammer, I would need to get everything away from the hammer, like the background or Thor, so that I could put it into my hand. All right, so we've gotten rid of the background. Now we're going to deselect everything. We're going to hit Control D. That's the shortcut, Control D. You can also go Select, Deselect, and there it says Control D again. And now we have the shark, and I turn the background back on, and I can move it. This is the Move tool, and you can see the other shark behind it. And we don't have anything blocking our view because we deleted the blue. I'm going to turn this background back off while we work. But now I want to make the shark tiny. Now I could go back in and select every little thing of the shark again, but that's totally unnecessary. Since the background is now clear, all we have to do is click here, and I'm using the marquee selection, like the big rectangle. I'm going to click and drag and make a selection. You see how it's just a square? But here's the thing. It doesn't matter that I've also selected the area around the shark because that area is clear, so it doesn't matter. Now once I've selected it, and I'm still on my selection tool, I'm going to two-finger click or right-click with a mouse, and you can see down here where it says Free Transform. Go ahead and click that. And what that allows me to do is change the scale of the shark. I can rotate, I can even change direction by flipping it. I can do anything I want with it, really. Okay, so here we have a smaller shark now. I'm going to hit Enter. And again, I'm going to hit Control D to deselect. Now let's turn the background back on. I'm going to go to the Move tool. And now you can see I have put a shark with the other shark. Now this is still a clear layer. So I could even duplicate the clear layer And it doesn't look like it did anything, but that's because they're on top of each other. If I grab it and move it, we have another shark. And again, while I'm on the correct layer, I can just select it with the marquee tool, shrink it down, flip it, whatever I want to do. Make some baby sharks. Okay? Now, again, if this shark were here, it looks like the really tiny shark is in front of our background layer. Okay? Here's the thing though, layer order matters. If I take the background, I drag it to the top, it looks like all of our sharks have disappeared, but they didn't. They're still right here. The problem is this is not a clear layer. So the blue and the shark are on top of our other two layers, causing us not to see them. The only reason we can see these tiny sharks is because we deleted the background. Now, overlapping is how our brains can perceive depth. So if we wanted to see this shark as behind the other shark, we would need to zoom in. And where this shark is over top of this other shark, we need it to look like it's behind it. Now I can't put him behind it because, if I drag this to the top, it's going to disappear. So the way I would do it is I would just delete the baby shark like so. So if I took this, I'm going to do another selection. And I'm going to select the area of the fin. So I selected the area of the fin. Now here's where you got to pay attention. Currently I'm on the background, but I want to get rid of this baby shark. And I only want to delete that fin. So I used the background to make my selection, but now I switched to the baby shark layer. So I'm going to work on that layer. So if I hit backspace, it's only going to delete the baby shark. The background doesn't delete. It's just how I made my selection. Control D. And let's zoom out. And now, do you see how that shark is not in front, but due to overlapping, it is now behind. If I turn that layer off though, you can see where it actually is not behind it, it's an illusion. It's just been cut, erased. But as soon as it comes back, your brain says, oh, it's not erased, it's over. All right, that's gonna conclude. Oh, let's do one last thing. So if you wanna save your work, you can double click here. Oops, and call it whatever you want. So we'll call it baby shark, okay? And then you're gonna go file, and you have some options to save, but I want you to save as PSD. Saving as a PSD will keep all your layers, okay? Which is what we want to keep manipulating it. All right, that should be enough to keep you going. Hopefully this will help out and you can practice while you are home.